Akaso, we need to talk about stabilization of your videos. Hey guys, I had a really good plan. I was going for a holiday to Marrakech and I supposed to receive this action cam before my departure so I could take it to actually a sunny country, sunny destination, and take a proper action footage. Unfortunately, the action cam has arrived after my departure and it was waiting patiently at home for me to go back and to test it in a gloomy UK, which was less than ideal. But since Akaso Brave 7, because this is the camera that I'm going to review today, is here, I guess we're gonna risk it. It came to me in actually quite big and impressive box filled with accessories and add-ons, and generally I was really happy with what's inside. At first glance it looks like one of those GoPro Hero 11, I guess, with a screen at front and another touchscreen at the back. And considering that this camera is almost 3 times less expensive, it's actually packed with a lot of different features to tempt the customers. So my question is it too good to be true? Looking at the product page, you would expect 4K at 30 frames per second. That's not too bad considering the price. But then you have 2K and 1080p at 60 frames per second and 90 frames per second respectively. That's pretty decent. Apart from that, it comes with a dedicated Bluetooth remote, because this thing, apart from Wi-Fi, it also has Bluetooth, so it's really handy to start recording. It comes with a separate battery charger, 2 batteries, lots of different accessories that you can use to strap this Brave 7 to, whether it's a chest harness, end of the selfie stick, or more creative solutions. The sensor inside promises 20 megapixel resolution for your photos. It comes with image stabilization, so your video is supposed to be butter smooth. It has a microphone which you can use not only to create a voiceover but also use for voice commands, because that's also supported. And on top of that, it has IPX8 rating, so you'll be able to submerge that without a dedicated case. The action camera feels well built. It has 3 buttons and a touch display to handle all interactions, and a small display at the front to give you an idea where the camera is pointing. Now look at the menu interface. It feels slightly dated, but all the options are easily accessible and toggleable, so I'm not going to hold it against it. Watertight seals around the battery and the USB Type-C charging point looks really promising, but one thing that was sticking out to me was that they included USB Type-C on the camera, but the remote control is charged with micro USB, which is a bit of a bummer. And to be honest, after visual inspection, I can believe that you can actually take this camera up to 5 meters underwater. It's not something I'm going to verify, mostly because, like I said, it missed an opportunity to travel to Marrakech and mandatory dive into the pool. But there is nothing that's going to force me to jump into a North Sea at this time of the year. Another thing that I really like was that removable lens cover, so if you scratch your camera, it's not all destroyed, you can actually unscrew that and replace it with a spare lens. However, they are not included in a kit, so you probably will have to go through manufacturers to order another one. And you are getting that for $170, which sounds really good. So let's actually try it out and see if that camera can deliver. Welcome to the very grey, dark and damp Great Britain in this lovely suburban areas. The camera itself right now is on a stick, so we'll see how it performs with the image stabilization. I hope it's any good, and I hope the microphone is actually capturing it well. There's no wind, however. If the wind picks up, I do have that foam thing that I've shown you probably by this time in unboxing, and you'll be able to check it out whether it works or not. And since I'm limited to 30 frames per second in 4K, let's switch over to 2K in 60 frames per second and see whether it makes an improvement. The actual stabilization on the camera is so far pretty decent. I've been using it with about 70 centimeters of a selfie stick, which should introduce a proper shake, especially when I'm walking like now, and we'll see how this Brave 7 is gonna handle that. At first, I shot all the video footage in worst possible circumstances. I was doing it in a forest to force the compression artifacts. There were barely any light because it was gloomy and cloudy outside and about to rain. So I was curious what the footage is going to look like and whether it's going to impress me. My initial findings were mixed between disappointment and confusion. I was very impressed with the quality of the sound, as I think the microphone this thing is pretty good, and I wasn't using a windsock either, so that's a plus. But the video quality, well, it was much to be desired. Granted, I was shooting in a forest, which introduces a lot of artifacting, and the lighting conditions were, well, much to be desired because it was just about to rain and everything looked gloomy as it is. It wasn't a saving grace for the camera either, because I quickly discovered that shooting at any other angle settings than 170 degrees would provide a footage that looked simply terrible. I've tried the camera at 4K at 30 frames per second at first, then I switched over to 2K at 60 frames per second, and then to 1080p at 60 frames per second, because this is the resolution of the video you're going to be watching anyway. But I quickly discovered that the footage was very similar regardless of the resolution that I've picked to shoot it in. So that made me wonder, why is that? On the positive note, the stabilization was pretty decent, so I didn't know what to make out of it. I decided to leave it for a day and try something new the next day. I got lucky, as the next day the weather was much better and I had some sunny spells. I decided to jump on my bike and take the camera with me because, hey, it's an action cam. You're supposed to be testing it in some sort of action. I attached it to my chest grip, assuming that 170 degrees is wide enough to capture wherever, and I don't really even have to look at the camera to verify that the camera is pointing in the right direction. And after shooting all my content, I quickly discovered two things. First, the camera is really good at taking pictures, even taken in shadows. Which confused me even more because, hey, it's capable of actually taking these decent pictures. So what's going on with video? The clue was in the image stabilization. I've discovered that despite selecting 170 degrees wide angle, what I've ended up with was nothing even remotely close to that angle. At this point I didn't have any answers and I figured out I need another test, so I waited patiently until the weather turned for better and I went to the seaside. Abundance of sun and nice landscapes to shoot would prove definite whether Akaso Brave 7 should be a camera you should be interested in. My theory was that software stabilization was affecting the image quality, and to prove that I've used my mechanical stabilizer, a Hochemeister DM6, which I covered in this video and I actually took to Marrakech, so go and check it out, and mounted the action cam in it so I could provide the image stabilization, disable software stabilization, and compare the results. Comparing the footage side by side, I quickly discovered that it was the software stabilization that was messing up the quality of that camera. So what's happening in here? When I'm now looking at the fresh footage taken in 4K, 2K and 1080p, my impression is that the footage is slightly better than 1080p at 60 frames per second, so it's probably 1440p or maybe 2K, but it's definitely not a native 4K recording resolution. And when you use image stabilization, very aggressive crop is applied to your frame, and that cropped image then is upscaled to whatever resolution you selected to record your videos. That would explain why the videos selected to be recorded in 4K look so terrible, while the videos recorded in 1080p are slightly a little bit better in comparison. And now at least I know what's going on with Akaso Brave 7. It's definitely not how the stabilization should be resolved on an action cam like this. If anything, they should be using much higher sensor resolution to provide that image stabilization. The last thing to mention is probably the Wi-Fi. I've mentioned that there is a Wi-Fi that you can connect to using your smartphone and have a direct preview from the camera just to verify that your frame is okay. That can come handy, especially if you're not using the attached remote. Personally, I found the Bluetooth remote to be very handy, especially that it shows the current status of the recording, the mode of the action cam and the battery remaining, so that's definitely a plus. As per app, well, I wasn't particularly impressed. While you can preview the video feed from and the action cam. Other features involve the social hub in which you can share your clips with the community, which is okay, but the editor wouldn't work for me at all. I don't know if it's compatibility with my phone, but whatever footage I was trying to upload to that editor, it was just not displaying the video and telling me that it's not supported. So there is definitely work to be done there. In conclusion, I am glad that Akaso Brave 7 has arrived after my trip to Marrakech, otherwise I could end up being disappointed. Now, this is not the only camera that they have on offer, and I'm already eyeing Akaso Brave 8, which is twice as expensive and probably promises much better sensor, so I hope that one comes with redeeming features. I do hope that Akaso will take my feedback in consideration. After all, I have their dashcam in my car and that works really good. The review is here. So if they're gonna push a new firmware to it to address issues with software stabilization, then maybe there is a saving grace for Akaso Brave 7. Until then, well, you know what to expect, so if you're interested, the links to this product is gonna be in the description of this video. As for now, big thanks to Akaso for sending me product for the review, and do let me know what do you think about it, what would you like to see next on the channel, and, well, you know how YouTube works, I do not have a posting schedule, so use YouTube tools provided to keep in touch and never miss the next video. I have a couple of social media pages that you can check out and follow me there to keep the conversation going. As for now, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye!